we've got to get the French football expert view on all of this because joining us right now, it's a talkSPORT favourite, Julien Laurens. Morning to you, Julien. How are you? I mean, are you going to be boasting now?
No, I would not do that to you. I would not do that to you. I promise you. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Julien.
You okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Could be better.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Listen, it's just the nature of the beast, isn't it? Tell us then, how are you looking back on that game yesterday?
I thought England were the better team. I have to be honest. Yes, the French players acknowledged it as well. There's no shame in saying that sometimes you win games when you were not the best team on the pitch. But I think when you get to this stage of a tournament like the World Cup, it's not just about being the best on the pitch for 90 minutes or 120 minutes. It's about being the most ruthless. It's about the ones that can separate the emotion from the game. And I thought yesterday, I heard the end of the conversation with the listener before. You lose also a lot of energy by being emotional with what the referee is doing, with the atmosphere, with the scenario, with the chances that you miss. And I think what the French were very good at last night was that kind of killer instinct that they had and that ruthlessness that they had. And I think this is a process. You learn how to be ruthless. We were in England's position at the 2014 World Cup when we lost to Germany, a game that we felt we should have won because we were the better side. And yet they won it. They were never panicking. They looked always in control, even when they were under pressure. And then they went on and won the World Cup. And I think this is a process for England to learn, because sometimes you're not the best team. And if you are the best team, you should capitalize on your strongest moments, which England didn't do last night.
Julien, just tell us how Didier Deschamps viewed, because obviously he's won a World Cup, but it feels from the outside that he doesn't get the credit he actually deserves, because he seems to manage players. Take Griezmann, who has had a difficult time at Atletico Madrid, found himself in and out of the team at times, yet he's been brought back. Giroud was out of the squad, not even looking like he was going to start this tournament, has now delivered. He's done that quite often with a number of players, Julien.
Yeah, he's got this incredible ability of sort of managing people, not just the players, everybody, whether you President Macron or you and me or the cleaner at the hotel, anybody, he knows exactly what to say when the right words, a little joke there, or words of reassurance there, or to boost you or to shout at you when he wants more from you. He's got that in him, really, plus the charisma, plus the experience, plus the fact that he obviously was there as a player and won it all as a player himself. But if he was to go on and win this one again, I think that would make him the greatest international manager ever, really. I mean, back-to-back World Cup, it's incredible. And I think you're right in a way. He gets a lot of credit back home still, but the problem is it's everywhere the same. When you lose, then people come at you. And after the Euros and that very disappointing defeat against Switzerland in the last 16, people went for him, and yet he still managed to stay there, to stay focused and composed, to guide another team that he had to rebuild again with all the injuries to a semi-final of the World Cup.
I was looking at your Twitter, and at one stage you had tweeted, England are the better team right now. They have to make the depth of their squad count. I know you sort of already alluded to that. Were you surprised with some of the changes that Southgate made? Did he utilise the squad in the best way to... Obviously, he didn't in the sense that we didn't win, but were you surprised with some of those changes and how it didn't pay off?
Yeah, I have to say a little bit. I mean, I don't think he has to take the blame for the defeat, because again, England played really well. But I don't know if Bukayo Saka, for example, was injured when he took him off. But why do you bring Raheem Sterling, who's been back in London for 5 days, who's been traveling Doha to London, London to Doha again, who hasn't been training with the team, and yet you bring him on? When was it? It was quite early on, I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was surprised. I have to say I was surprised by that move. And more importantly, I thought he should have changed earlier. He should have brought Marcus Rashford way earlier than he did, for example. I think it was a time much earlier in that second half where you didn't need the three midfielders anymore. Henderson could have gone earlier. I think he waited in the 79th minute to take Henderson off. I don't think that was needed, because we were so much under pressure. And that ruthlessness that I was talking about earlier for the players, on when you take your chances, when you make that foul, when you do this, when you do that, it's the same for managers. It's the same for head coaches. And I think that Gareth Southgate was not ruthless enough in that game yesterday. Yeah, things were going well for England, but not that well because it was still 1-1. And I felt at the game, he's missed a trick here. He should have made those substitutions earlier than the 79th minute.
And we were making this point earlier because, there are such small margins of success and failure that the big calls are them small margins.
Completely. And we knew that game was going to be won or lost on details or thin margin because there were they're two great sides. For me, this was the best game of the World Cup so far. Not in terms of drama because of what we saw earlier in the competition, but in terms of pure level or pure talent. I mean, if you read the clubs of the 22 starting players, it's just the best of the best. And yet they had an incredible matchup, an incredible game, the best of the competition for me. But those games are tied for a reason because they're two great teams. It would be the same, in a final, if it had been a final or a semi-final. And that's why you win them on detail. And for me, Southgate, had it changed earlier, I felt England would have gone and won that game.
Yeah, it was more reactive from Southgate rather than proactive. I think we can all agree on that. But you're quite right. Equally, it's not all down to Gareth Southgate because I do think England were the better team. I've stressed that a lot this morning.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But that being said, it was France that have gone through. I want to get your thoughts on the semi-final then when they take on Morocco. But before that, Kyle Walker, he won the battle, didn't he, with Kylian Mbappé?
Yeah, he did. There's one time in the second half where Kylian goes on the outside and outpaced him, and then there's a cross. Giroud dummies it, and I think Dembele's a bit surprised that maybe Giroud dummied the ball, but that's pretty it. However, the way we see in France is the first goal. There's 3 England players coming after Kylian on that left-hand side. When Upamecano gets the ball back, whether it's a foul on Saka, I don't know, and it doesn't matter so much now. And then there's 3 players on Kylian: Rice, Bellingham, and Walker. And Kylian still manages to keep the ball. He plays that little 1-2 with Upamecano. Then Rice is a little bit too short, misses his tackle. And then Kylian passes the ball to Dembele, to Griezmann and then to Tchouaméni. And Tchouaméni's shot, Bellingham is half a second late. Half a second earlier, and Bellingham, I think, blocks the shot. It's half a second late. The ball goes between his legs, and it goes into the net. And for me, the difference is that 3 England players come after Kylian. And that's where it unbalances the whole England midfield and defense. And that's why Bellingham is late. That's why Rice is late as well on Kylian. And I think that makes the difference. So, yeah, he didn't have a great game. But that one moment in that first half, early on as well, I think was enough.
You didn't give me that small victory. You've taken that away from me already.
No, but you were right for most of the game. But just I felt that moment, if you maybe don't go on 3 on him, maybe the outcome is a bit different and there's not that goal.